From the High Definition Production Center of Troy University's Broadcast and Digital Network and Troy campuses around the world, this is Troy TrojanVision Weekly.
Hello and welcome to Troy TrojanVision Weekly. We're glad you joined us for this look at what's happening in and around Troy University. I'm your host, Aaron Taylor. Well, Troy University has reached the end of an era as Sartain Hall, originally built in 1962, will be torn down to make way for a new recreation center. Former students, faculty, and staff made their way to Troy to say goodbye and relive memories of the historic building Tuesday night. Joshua Thomas has the details.
Troy University will be saying farewell to an old friend this upcoming semester as Sartain Hall will be closing and demolished to make room for the new recreation center being built by the university. And as Sartain's time comes to a close, former students and staff alike have come back to campus to say goodbye one last time.
Well, it's kind of bittersweet. It's always sad to say goodbye to the memories, but Troy is growing, and that's great, and they're making way for bigger and better things.
This place holds a very special place in my heart for the simple fact that I played a lot of games here. I practiced a lot here, and I even coached in this building. So I have a lot of fond memories, winning 2 championships here as a player, another one as a coach. So I hate to see it go, but it's for a good purpose.
In my 22 years of recording graduations, basketball games, volleyball games, it's really been amazing all the memories that I've just accumulated from seeing so much go on in this building.
Well, on the one hand, I'm excited for our students. A mark of progress, of course, is improved facilities, and that will be a great addition to this university. 80,000 square feet of state-of-the-art space. Our students need recreation, they need fitness, they need all of those things that'll go into that facility. Plus, it'll give us a new face on the front side of the campus.
Over the years, Sartain Hall has been the host of many events from graduations to things like skate night, USC dodgeball, and even career fairs, along with the highest scoring basketball game in Division I history.
My fondest memory, it would be one that many others shared, and that was the 258-point game that occurred in this facility that broke all records and probably will always stand as a record in terms of points scored.
Joshua Thomas, Troy TrojanVision News.
On Monday afternoon, Troy University's Air Force ROTC program recognized the promotion of one of its own and prepared to say goodbye. Paige Weeks explains why.
On Monday afternoon, Troy University's Air Force and Reserve Officer Training Corps recognized the promotion of one of its own lieutenant commanders. Lieutenant Colonel Cheryl DeLockery served as commander and professor of aerospace studies of Air Force ROTC at Troy University. DeLockery was promoted to full colonel in front of members of her family, ROTC cadets, and other faculty and staff members.
It's a bit overwhelming, and mostly it's humbling. I'm so thankful to have all the folks that have helped lift me up through my career to be here to help me celebrate, because it's not just about me, it's about all of the people, the village that helped get me here.
During her time at Troy, DeLockery taught national security and leadership courses, as well as supervised over 60 Air Force ROTC cadets and 5 faculty and staff members.
She was always very supportive of us taking care of ourselves. Even to this day, that is still evident, and that is definitely a huge impact that she had had on all of us here at the detachment.
In addition to her duties as a teacher and commander, in just 1 year, DeLockery also helped grow the Air Force ROTC detachment by 124% and contributed to numerous ROTC achievements.
She's had an influence on everyone associated here with the detachment, not just the students, but the staff, and they'll maintain that upward trajectory. They'll remember this, and we're in a great position to continue to grow and excel.
In just 1 day, Colonel DeLockery will be traveling to the reserves in Warner Robins, Georgia, where she will help mentor others in her career field, civil engineering, throughout the reserves. Paige Weeks, Troy TrojanVision News.
Tuesday was the official groundbreaking for a new multi-million-dollar sawmill in Pike County. Taylor Pollock gives us a look at what Rex Lumber expects to accomplish with its newest facility.
Thank you all for being here. Rex Lumber Company, welcome to Pike County.
Rex Lumber was welcomed into Pike County on Tuesday with an official groundbreaking ceremony.
The impact
that this is going to have both directly of 110 jobs and a $100 million investment is just the beginning.
The upcoming state-of-the-art sawmill will sprawl over 250 acres, and over $100 million has already been invested into the project.
This facility is an extremely high-tech facility. These are going to be very good jobs.
Careful consideration went into the location of the newest facility.
It wasn't an easy choice. We looked around several different southern states. Pike County, Troy has a great wood basket, they have a good workforce, and we decided if we didn't come here, somebody else would, so we need to get here first.
As you can see behind me, the facility still has a long way to go before it's ready for operation. However, once open, it's expected to create over 100 jobs, and with that, opportunities for Troy University students.
I know Rex Lumber has already spoken to the university and about, partnering with this company. We're trying to get students better educated on the job opportunities. We're looking forward to hopefully having Troy University students come out and learn the process and maybe intern.
We're going to take a short break, but when we return, we'll see how the Trojan soccer team is getting some young players ready to play. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
It's the Talk of Troy. Voices and sounds from the campuses of Troy University.
Never in my wildest dreams did I ever picture becoming Miss Senior USA. My dream really was to be Miss Senior Alabama.
Join us for the Talk of Troy, Fridays at 8:45 a.m. and 3:44 p.m. and Sundays at 4:35 p.m. on Troy Public Radio.
Cool party. What do you guys want to drink? Can I have a head-on collision with a concussion twist?
Make mine a fatal accident with no survivors.
And you?
A designated driver, please. Just a bottle of water.
Awesome.
You're a lifesaver.
Did you know kids who play outdoors have healthier lungs?
Totally. I did. Did you know that boys that play with dolls make better husbands?
My son has lots of dolls.
But did you know terry cloth diapers breathe better?
I did.
It's totally true.
Oh, yeah.
Did you know that strollers have the right of way on the sidewalk?
Yes.
Yep, I did. Did you guys
Did you know that kids who eat breakfast have higher GPAs?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. That's actually what I was going to say.
Did you know babies should never touch silver? It's really bad for them.
I knew that.
Did you guys know that statistically friendly kids have more friends?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's obvious.
Did you know most people think they're using the right car seat for their kid, but they're not?
Parents who really know it all know for sure that their child is in the right seat at the right age and size. Visit safercar.gov/the right seat to make sure your child is protected.
I'm putting that on my blog.
I just put it in mine.
Now back to Troy TrojanVision News Weekly.
While the Trojan soccer team has their fall season coming up in just a few weeks, the team took a little time away from their preparations to help train some younger players in a week-long soccer camp led by head coach Jed O'Connor. However, rather than running drills, the focus was on having fun. Seth Carpenter has more.
This week was the second time this summer Troy University has hosted their Trojan soccer camps, with women's head coach Jed O'Connor leading it. And one of the goals of the camp is to give the kids the opportunity to get introduced to the game.
All we're really trying to do is give the kids a great opportunity, if they've never played soccer, to get introduced to the game, and also just to increase the knowledge of Troy University women's soccer just around the local communities.
At typical camps for older kids, you would normally see drills and ball skill training, but with this camp's age being between 4 and 11, it was more about getting touches on the ball.
The most important thing that we do is get as many touches on the ball as we can on a given day. We want thousands of touches on the ball. That's the key. So our staff are busy putting together different drills, but we'll always finish up with some kind of World Cup scrimmage or game towards the end of the day. That seems to be one of the main things that the kids like to do.
And while the camp is meant for the kids to improve, Coach O'Connor said that at this age it's more important for the kids to have fun.
We don't care about winning or losing at this age. We want them to come out and have fun. And our coaching staff is very good, and from there we can put on good quality sessions so as they can have fun and get better at the same time. And as if they continue to do that, they're going to have more fun as they get better, have more fun as they continue to get better. And who knows, we could have some future Troy soccer players out here already today, you know.
Seth Carpenter, Troy, TrojanVision News.
Expressing creativity can be an essential part of a childhood, and Troy's Department of Theater and Dance looked to help some local children strengthen their creativity through their annual Summer Spotlight Creative Drama Camp. Seth Hawk has the details.
This week, children have flooded Troy's campus for a creative drama camp hosted by Troy's Department of Theater and Dance. The camp is intended on showing children the fun side of theater, and it also teaches them to embrace their creativity.
It's a wonderful place for all these kids to come together and just creatively express themselves. We have a mini spots group for our 4- and 5-year-olds to have their small day because they're not quite ready to take on the whole day. And then we have our 6- and 7-year-old group who they get to work together and do a pre-show. We have our sessions throughout the day. And once we get up into our older students, they have their sessions throughout the first half of the day, and they get to work together and they put on a big showcase at the end of the camp.
This camp also allows children to not only express themselves through actions, but through art.
They get to work on a lot of projects that kind of are working on creatively, physically expressing the stuff that they're working on in their creative drama class. So they're working on a book about emotions and stuff. So in here we're working on projects that help them express emotions.
Even though the kids can sometimes be a handful, according to Elward, giving kids the opportunity to express themselves creatively is all worth it.
I love working with them. You have some that are a little bit wild and more rambunctious and you have to reel them in, but it's also such a wonderful outlet just to let them express themselves and let all of their energy out, because sometimes these students, they get kind of like pushed to the side. They're like, you're being a little bit too crazy, go sit over there, but this really gives them an opportunity to let all their energy out in a very safe, accepting environment.
There will be a showcase at the end of the week put on by the participants in this camp to show what they've learned. Seth Hawk, Troy, TrojanVision News.
2 artists have new exhibits in the Johnson Center for the Arts, with one focusing on personal visions and the other focusing on the 200th anniversary of Alabama becoming a state. The artists shared their art and inspiration at an opening reception at the center. Seth Carpenter has the details.
On Thursday, July 12th, the Johnson Center had a ceremony for 2 new art exhibits featuring the works of George Harris and Nancy Hartsfield. Harris has many different styles of paintings on display, but he said that most of them have a stylized type of realism.
Well, there's several different styles here, but I'd say most of it's kind of a stylized type of realism. There's certain kind of motifs that I use in my painting that show up again and again, the way I might do Spanish moss or trees.
And with that stylistic type of realism came a focus on structures from when Harris studied architecture at the University of Auburn.
I'm doing a lot of structures and with using a lot of perspective. That's stuff that you learn in the School of Architecture, and that translates into what you see in a lot of these paintings.
And Hartsfield is a retired art professor from the University of Auburn who says all of her paintings are a series she has thought of.
All of my paintings are of a series that I've thought of, or a concept, like windows was one where I did, that's the Alhambra there. I've enjoyed traveling, and that's been inspirational.
And while both of these artists have different styles of artwork, you can see both of their works in the Johnson Center from July 11th through October 7th. With Troy TrojanVision News, I'm Seth Carpenter.
We're going to take another quick break, but when we come back, we'll learn how you can help Troy University students feel a little more like home. That's coming up right after this.
So they say it's a man's world? Well, I don't see anybody's name on it. While they were out doing their thing, we slowly changed all that. We changed all that. Today, women can do anything men can do. And there's one thing we're even better at.
You sure you don't want some? It's chamomile. Listen, you are extremely terrifying. Just the scariest undead subhuman thing on TV, and I really mean that. But I am worried that you could give my kids nightmares if they see you, so I'm gonna have to block you. So that's it. Oh, and tell the zombies they're blocked too.
Why is my son having trouble in school?
Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul.
No, I'm tired of fighting with my son over his homework.
Home, walk, restaurant. Need a review?
No. He's smart, but his mind wanders.
7 wonders of the world.
Why don't you understand me?
I do. I was trying to show how Connor feels every day. Redirecting to understood.org.
Join parents and experts at understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues to help your child thrive.
Now back to Troy Trojan Vision News Weekly.
August 11th and 12th is move-in weekend for Troy University students living in residence halls this school year. And people in the community can show a little Trojan spirit by volunteering to help those students move in. Taylor Pollock shows us how.
The new school year is quickly approaching, meaning hundreds of students preparing to live in Troy University's residence halls will be needing some assistance with moving in.
We don't have enough parking places for everybody because some people bring several members of their family with several different cars, and we have U-Hauls and carrying all their things back to campus. So it's quite hectic, and having someone to help carry all these items in moves the process along quite quickly.
Burks says that when it comes to move-in volunteers, any and all are welcome to help out.
Anyone is eligible to be a volunteer. You're welcome to wear your organization's t-shirts and so forth. You know, we just ask that everything be tasteful, what you wear, because you will be representing Troy University.
And if you're unsure of what steps to take to sign up, the process is very simple.
Well, they would need to contact the housing office, so they can email us here at housing@troy.edu, or they can email me directly at sburks@troy.edu, and I'll be glad to try to assign them to an area.
Move-in day volunteers don't even necessarily have to help out with moving stuff. You can assist with simple tasks such as giving directions or holding the door open for someone.
Impact orientation sessions have a lot of things to think about when they come to their upcoming college careers. So as a part of Impact, the incoming students get the opportunity to have some fun at Camp Butter and Egg. Madison Neal shows us how.
During Troy University's freshman orientation, students not only plan for their first semester of college, but are offered a fun getaway to Camp Butter and Egg.
So at Impact, we take them to meet with their department chairs so they can figure out what kind of classes they want to take. And then we come out to Butter and Egg, relieve some stress to let them know that college is also a fun time.
Although Camp Butter and Egg offers various activities like paddle boating and rock climbing, the zipline course seems to be a crowd favorite.
The first one really scared me, and then it started getting better, and then it was just like a lot of fun. I was just like, this is really cool. I can't believe that I'm supposed to be coming to college, but we're actually ziplining, you know.
Overall, team building experiences learned here are helping students zip into success at Troy University.
Pretty much the skills that they're developing are communication skills, and a lot of them are introverted. We can see that, and it's making them step out of their box and be extroverted.
And it was healthy competition throughout different field games that helped students let loose.
Super competitive. There's 7 different games we play. We end with tug of war, and that is the most competitive game of tug of war I've ever played in my life.
Some students say that Camp Butter and Egg helped make Impact a very positive experience and that they can't wait to come to Troy University in the fall.
I'm so excited. If I could skip the rest of the summer and come straight to Troy, I definitely would. I've fallen in love with campus and all the people I've met and all of the camp leaders. It's been awesome. So excited.
It's time for our last break, but when we return, we'll learn about how a Troy University professor is helping rewrite the history books when it comes to the use of tobacco. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Did you go to the schoolyard? Where did you look? We can make a plan somehow if we just. He's a smart boy.
Try to call him again.
There's no reception right now. Everything is down.
Try.
I can't.
Try already.
Nothing's working.
Well, just
Everything's
try.
down.
Do you think he's on his way? Please. Is he okay?
Laura.
Please tell me he's okay.
I need you to calm down.
What? It's my baby. This is so bad. He's out there by himself.
Make sure you know where to find your family in an emergency. Start your plan at ready.gov.
We go and clear the roads looking for IEDs. We're encapsulated in those vehicles, and we get blast wave injuries very easily inside of those things. I'm actually diagnosed with PTSD and multiple cases of mild traumatic brain injury. But I was brought up, drive on, don't let your soldiers see that anything's wrong. But I started to realize that I wasn't the same guy. Having more bad days than good days set in more and more after each deployment and each injury. When I finally realized that I needed professional help, the switch for me was my family. And my wife, Tanya, thank God, she's open and honest with me and hounded me enough times to where I did go and get treatment. And I'm so happy that I sought the treatment because I know that if I hadn't, there's no way I'd be a first sergeant right now. I know that if I hadn't said help, I would have remained helpless. I definitely think that soldiers are stronger when they realize they have a problem and they ask for help.
Now back to Troy Trojan Vision News Weekly.
A Troy professor has made a revolutionary discovery about the historic use of tobacco. We'll learn more about that discovery during this week's Trojan Talk. Hello and welcome to Trojan Talk. I'm your host, Aaron Taylor. My guest today is Stephen Carmody. He's going to tell us a little about a discovery he's made about tobacco. And thanks for joining us here today. So,
thanks for having me.
And you're a professor here at Troy University, but through some research that you've been working on for quite a while now, you've discovered something new about tobacco that kind of resets the clock on the usage of tobacco. I guess tell us a little bit about this discovery that you've been a part of. So,
yes, sir. So this research project I've worked on now for 7 or 8 years. It started when I was a graduate student at the University of Tennessee. I studied plants and plant use in the past, and it's hard to get around tobacco. Tobacco is an important plant in the past. It was important historically, important prehistorically.
And it's been important in this part of the country as well.
Absolutely. So you can kind of talk about tobacco in the sense of the story of America. So on a lot of different levels, tobacco is important. And I explore tobacco use with prehistoric groups, Native North Americans. So tobacco is one of the most important plants that they used in their religious and ritual ceremonies. So reading about its use years ago, one of the first things I remember reading was that tobacco was grown from the Mississippi River to the Atlantic coast, from the Great Lakes to the Gulf of Mexico, and was used by all Native American groups that encompass that area that we refer to today as the Eastern Woodlands. When you get into the archaeological evidence, there's not archaeological evidence to support that claim. We've only recovered tobacco seeds from around 100 sites in the Eastern Woodlands. So that doesn't suggest everybody was growing it, as the literature suggests. Yeah. And a lot of the evidence we have comes from the recovery of pipes from archaeological sites. And whenever people find pipes, they refer to them as tobacco pipes. Well, up until this discovery, the earliest evidence for the use of tobacco was about 2,000 years ago. And we have pipes that are 5,000 years old. So there's about a 3,000 year gap between direct evidence.
Somewhere a tool was made for something that there was no evidence that it existed at that point. So, or at least in that usage.
Right. So. And so that raised some interesting questions to me. So did tobacco enter into a pre-existing smoking culture that was here? Or did tobacco start that smoking culture? Did people start manufacturing pipes when tobacco entered the region? But anyway, there were several questions raised by the literature and by the recovery of pipes.
And so what you're able to do, and you worked with some others in going from those questions to using different technology to make a determination that it was used earlier than previously thought.
Right. So traditionally, when we talk about plant use from archaeological sites, we actually recover the seeds of those plants or plant parts that are carbonized and burned, and that allows them to preserve in the archaeological record. So in the 1960s, people started systematically collecting those remains. It allowed us to talk about the plants that people ate, the plants that they drank, the plants that people smoked, all types of plant use plants for transportation, clothing, everything, right? Everything. And so that's when tobacco seeds were first started to be recovered, widely. But again, there's that gap in the data and the literature and the stories that we tell. And so there are other techniques that we can use. And so one technique people had used was pollen analysis. With a high enough powered microscope, pollen's diagnostic. We see it fly around the air, it gets on our cars, and we think it's pollen. But with a high enough powered microscope, you can tell what plant that pollen comes from. And so we were able to take residue from the inside of pipes and through a chemical process, reduce that and look for tobacco pollen. And we found, we only tested 6 pipes early on, and we found tobacco pollen in 3. Of course, people said, well, of course you should find tobacco pollen. It's a tobacco pipe. But we still had 3 pipes where there was no evidence for. And then there's another chemical technique, gas chromatography, that people were using, and that's something we started doing and having a lot of success finding nicotine. So to date, we've analyzed about 80 pipes. We found evidence for tobacco in about 40 of those, so just about half.
So you're able to take these pipes that were made way earlier than the current date, and by that you're able to kind of figure out that tobacco existed when those pipes were, even though you couldn't find the plant evidence of it at that point.
Right.
So and that's probably one of the crucial elements is it was in that pipe, so it had to exist.
Right, exactly. And so the recent discovery was a pipe that was recovered in the 1940s at the Flint River site. It was part of the TVA excavations. And we knew when we saw the pipe it was old based on the shape of the pipe. Early pipes are tubular. We refer to them as smoking tubes or medicine tubes. We knew it was old, and we tested it. We tested the residues inside, and it came back positive for nicotine. So we knew we had something pretty interesting. To make sure, or to confirm that nicotine signature in the pipe, we sent some of the residue to another lab and had them, a lab at Ole Miss, and it tested, again, positive for nicotine. Then we were able to secure funding from an old friend of mine at University of Tennessee to get radiocarbon dates, and it confirmed the date of the pipe was about 3,600 years old. So pushing that date back for tobacco use 1,000, 1,500 years.
And it sounds like that this is possibly the start, that you may be able to continue this on, but it sounds extremely interesting and looking forward to hearing what the potential future discoveries of this could be. But we've kind of run out of time here. I'm sure we could talk more about this, but seeing this discovery that using some technology to discover the origins of tobacco are a lot earlier than we once thought. Thanks for enlightening us on this discovery, and maybe we'll bring you back again if you figure out some more in the future.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for joining us on today's edition of Trojan Talk. And that's what happened this week. To find out what's happening daily, you can tune into Troy TrojanVision News at 5, 6:30, and 10:30 Monday through Thursday, or anytime by following us on Twitter at Troy TV News. Also feel free to like our Troy TrojanVision News fan page on Facebook and see online content from Troy TrojanVision News. We'll be joining us again next week for another edition of Troy TrojanVision Weekly. Have a good week.